All right, Petman Matt Mark Hill on the varsity jumping into our CMS previews. First, we got Butler going on the road to take on Rocky River. I think for Butler, we saw them last week against Providence. Big win on the road, 42-21. They ran the ball really well, so you want to continue to do that. But I think in this kind of game, seeing Rocky River earlier this season, they were hurt by the deep passing game. So I think if Butler's able to get that going, they should have Keon Lassane back, who's been out the past couple of games with a suspension issue from the previous game at Mallard Creek. That's going to open up their passing game and probably their running game even more because you have to account for where he is on the field at all times. You're looking at Rocky River. They had a bye last week, so with the extended time off due to the hurricane, they really got to ramp things up in practice this week and get ready to go against a pretty good Butler squad coming into their house. Watching them, when you look at them offensively, they're pretty balanced. So you want to make sure you maintain that balance and try to establish the line of scrimmage. I think against Providence, Butler did a pretty good job in shutting down their running game, but they had some passes that they gave up down the field. So that's some options that Rocky River has to try to attack that Bulldog defense as we open up conference play. All right, our next game is Garinger going on the road to take on Myers Park. And last week, Garinger had a very, very tight game against Independence. They fell on the road 30-26. And of course, the story with Garinger is the improvement that they've shown under head coach Jeff Caldwell. When you look at this game at Myers Park's coming off a bye, so they haven't played recently. So Garinger, you got to get out to shoot fast. You're playing a team that has really been clicking all season long, but they've been off. So you want to try to, stun them a little bit, maybe a big play or a trick play off some base action that you've shown in the pre-conference. Try to catch somebody sleeping and get up on them early. Get them in a place where they're not used to doing. With Myers Park, they've been in the lead for just about all of their games the whole time. So you want to get them behind and see how they react. And conversely for Myers Park, number one, you can't take Garinger lightly. They've been playing teams tough. You saw even when they played West Meck, that game was close in the third quarter. So you can't expect for them to come in there and lay down like you might think the old Garinger teams might have done. Secondly, you got to get it going quick, man. Being off, we've seen some good teams struggle coming off the bye week. And, Garinger, it's kind of different. They don't bring a lot of fans per se. So it's not the normal Friday night environment you get. You can kind of fall in the trap and get lulled to sleep. So you got to come out and be ready to go, fired up, and then get into your game plan and execute well on both sides of the football. All right, our next game is a West Side Battles, part of the West Side Championship Series. You got Harding Rams going on the road to take on West Meck. Last week, Harding had a tough loss at Mallard Creek. The key for this one is West Meck has got a ton of speed and they love to throw the football, so you got to be able to play good coverage, find a way to get pressure on the quarterback, and I think between Tylen Dunlap and Malik Faust, you have some options there to try to do that and disrupt the timing of the West Meck offense. And conversely for West Meck, West Meck last week, the other game was canceled. They had a game scheduled with Scotland, but it got canceled because of the hurricane. So it's essentially like a bye week. So it's been a while since West Meck's played. So once again, kind of like the same situation with Myers Park. Make sure you get out the gate going fast. Over at West Meck, this used to be a huge, huge game with a huge crowd. I don't know how many fans Harding will bring to this one, given the kind of season they're having right now. So kind of the same thing with the Myers Park Garinger game. Little environment. That's not necessarily what you're used to on Fridays. You can't fall in that trap of, matching that. You got to be ready to go and play some really good football. All right, our next game is Huff, opening up IMEC conference play, going on the road to take on Hopewell. And Huff last week, they played RG Kell, and of course, like they've been doing all season long, had a huge win. So obviously your key right here is you're looking at a Hopewell team that is coming on strong every week. Can't take them for granted. And they got to be able to stop the passing game because that's Hopewell's strength on offense. is throwing the football, and they have some very dynamic receivers. But the good thing for Huff is they probably got the best set of defensive backs around. So I'm sure they're looking to take on that challenge with real big excitement. And then conversely, this is Hopewell. They're at home. I saw a tweet today. They're going to have some new uniforms, so that'll be exciting. I'm sure they'll be fired up. You look at this though, it's really tough because Huff has a lot of offensive talent, and it's all over the place. It's not necessarily just the quarterback, Kanique Boward-Stewart, or the running back Pryor, or the receivers Gruel and company, or the offensive line for that matter, has been playing very well. You've got multiple threats you've got to worry about. And if Hopewell is going to pull an upset, it's going to have to happen on defense. The defense has to play, better than they have been. They've been giving up a good bit of points. The offense, I think, will be able to score, at times here, but defense will have to come through big time to try to pull the upset. All right, our next game, we've got Lake Norman, who is in the IMEC conference, going on the road to take on West Charlotte. And we don't talk much about Lake Norman because they're not a CMS team, but we will be talking about them now. They're led by head coach Jonathan Oliphant, formerly at Mooresville on the defensive side of things. Very intelligent, defensive-minded head coach. And this is going to be an interesting game. This game came down to a field goal last year that West Charlotte was able to hit for the win up at Lake Norman. So I expect this to be a very competitive game once again. The key for Lake Norman, you got to get after the West Charlotte quarterback. He's a young kid, but he's a talented young kid in Mahatha. And if you give him time to throw the ball, we've seen it, he can deliver the ball to where it needs to go. For West Charlotte, I think you've got to be able to control the Lake Norman front. We've seen some stuff on Lake Norman, and their strength, I believe, lies in their front seven. So if they're able to, control that West Charlotte offensive line, it's going to be tough for West Charlotte to move the football consistently for 4 quarters. If the line is able to control the front and they can get the ball to Devontae Walker, on the outside in one-on-one situations, that's when they can have some success, and then they can build their stuff off of that kind of game plan. All right, our next game, we've got a big game in the IMEC, the first of 2 big games in the IMEC this week. We got North Mech, undefeated 4-0, going on the road to take on Mooresville, who is also undefeated and 4-0. Head coach Eric Mormon for the North Mech Vikings has done a good job so far this season. They won every game that they've come up against so far. Some games have been bigger margins than others, but the key is the victory at the end of the game. You look at this team, I think offensively this year is where their strength lies. They've got several good players in Aaron Scott, who is a D1 level quarterback, Justin Olson at receiver, who's a D1 level receiver, DeCon Stewart, also known as Bobo, on the outside making plays, Fabian Duncan in the backfield, who is a load to bring down but can also go the distance. They have a lot of ways to attack you offensively, which makes them tough to stop. So their key in this game is to make sure that they can, remain balanced like the way Coach Mormon likes to be, and take their shots on big plays like they've been doing, all year long, and then make those plays when they have the chance to make them. Conversely, for Mooresville, they're 4-0. Head coach Thad Wells is a young, very intelligent coach. Enjoyed watching some of his stuff in the offseason from where he came from up in Virginia. He's brought in the air raid type of offense. Excuse me. And the coach helping him do that has some lineage with Northwestern down in South Carolina. And you see a lot of those same concepts. And now you're starting to see a lot of the same numbers from that type of passing game and running game also. Because when you think air raid, you think all passing. But no, running is a definite big part of that. So Mooresville does a really good job on offense because of that. And you can expect this to be a high-scoring game with 2, I believe, very talented offenses. And then the defenses are, good when they need to be good. Timely defense is the best way I can put it. But I think that would lend to possibly a higher-scoring game here. But Mooresville's key I think in this kind of game is number one, embrace the moment. You 4-0, you get the spotlight, you can't back away from it. You embrace it. You realize that you have a chance to break through. This is your time, and make the most of it. And then the second thing is, execution. Both of these coaches are very, very smart, and they're going to show things that they haven't shown on film all year long. How you adjust to it in game, both as a coach and as a player, I believe is going to be the key in victory this week for both of these teams. It's going to be a very good game. All right, next game. This is the game that me and Brandon will be at. This is going to be Olympic versus Barry. Now, this game was scheduled to be at Waddell, a place that I love going to watch a game. But obviously, with the rain and everything, it's not in the right condition to have a game. So this game has been moved to Olympic, but this is Barry's home game. So just keep that in mind if you're planning on coming. The key for Olympic here, Barry has had some success throwing the football this season, namely in the game that they played against East Meck. So they've got to tighten up defensively and make sure that they're able to, kind of mix between pressure and coverage. You give a pretty good quarterback some different looks, it kind of throws off the timing and the indecision, and then that can lead to some turnovers where you start having success on defense. Conversely, for Barry, Olympic has some really good running backs. The quarterback can run; he's a dual threat guy, and they've got some running backs that have been making some plays. So you got to be able to control that multiple faceted running game. Play assignment football when you see some different things come at you, like read option, for example. And tackle well in space, because if you don't, they have the ability to go 0 to 60 real fast. All right, our next game is going to be Porter Ridge going on the road to take on East Meck. This is a Southwestern Conference game here, opening up conference play. I believe for Porter Ridge, their key is, they got to be able to cover the pass. Porter Ridge in the past has had some issues trying to cover the passing game. And, it's kind of like a common theme this week. There's two ways to stop the pass, either pressure or coverage. And I think Porter Ridge is going to send some pressure. East Meck's offensive line, they I think they know what they're doing. But I think you want to test them early on to see if they can handle pressure and make the quarterback make tough throws under heat. Conversely, for East Meck, it's assignment football this week. Porter Ridge runs that shotgun, split back option type stuff. You've got to know who has the dive, who has the pitch, and who has the quarterback. And you've got to hit every time you have a chance on those three options. Because Porter Ridge is going to run it, they're going to run it, they're going to run it. And then once you get so far committed on those things, they're going to pull up and then pull and throw that deep ball. And it's kind of like playing old school Catholic. You know the pass is going to come, but you don't know when. And then when it comes and you think you have it, and then you don't, and then they're dancing in the end zone. So you got to be disciplined for East Meck, especially on defense this week. All right, our next game is going to be a good South Meck 7 conference matchup. Important game. You got Providence going on the road to take on Ardrey Kell. Two teams that have played tough pre-conference schedules. You look at the records and say, why are you even talking about this game? These teams aren't good. Well, I'll tell you right now, I believe in the South Meck 7, that conference is wide open, and it is a new season if you're in that conference. So, key for Providence here, they've really got two good receivers going with Caleb Agamolin and Will Kakavitsas. So, Gabe Judy, the star corner for Ardrey Kell, will be on one of them. And whoever he's not on, you got to, make him defend the other guy, I believe. Providence does a good job, I think, running the football. I like Nate Matar. He runs real hard inside. So he'll be a load. Ardrey Kell's going to have to find a way to tackle him on first contact. Don't let him break tackles and continue to make big plays running the football. Conversely, for Ardrey Kell, you look at Providence, I don't think they're a bad team. I think their record is not reflective of who they are. They were in that game with Butler. It was a tie game mid-third quarter. you can't come out and assume that they are the team they are with their record. So first of all, right mental state of mind. Second of all, um, I think you got to find a way to run the football. You look at Pinecrest game, you look at the Butler game. Both of those teams ran the football well on Providence. So if you're Audrey Kell, you got to take a look at those tapes, find a way to run the football well, and use that to establish who you are on offense on the Friday night. All right, we got two games coming up Saturday at UNC Charlotte. Charlotte kickoff's part of this event. I think it's going to be a great event. Hopefully, we have good weather. Right now, the forecast looks pretty good. We've got Hickory Ridge taking on Independence at the first game scheduled for 5:30 kickoff. All right, so you look at Hickory Ridge. I believe Hickory Ridge had a bye last week. We haven't talked about it much because our focus this year is on CMS schools, but obviously we know Sam Griner is there. Former Harding coach, won the state title last year in the 4A ranks. Hickory Ridge is off to a 2-2 record. Had some good things, they had some tough things happen. I believe their last game was a loss against Northwest Cabarrus at home, who is a very good 3A team, by the way. The key for Hickory Ridge here, Independence is running some of that air raid type stuff on offense. So I know Sam very well, so I know he's going to want to get after the quarterback here. They're going to have to do that, and then on the back end, they're going to have to play that tight coverage when you blitz, because if you don't, in that air raid where they got 4 and 5 receivers out, you let someone go and they're wide open. That's open season for big plays. Conversely, for Independence, Hickory Ridge wants to establish the line of scrimmage. They want to be a tough physical football team, so they're going to run the football. Independence, they're going to have to toughen up in the front seven, put your big boy boots on, and come ready to get down the trenches and get nasty. If they're going to be able to win the game, that's what they're going to have to do, is stop the run first and foremost. I think Hickory Ridge has some ability to throw the football down the field. But don't be fooled. They want to run the football first and foremost, and that's what Independence is going to have to stop to get the win in this game. All right, so then in the nightcap, the huge game this week that a lot of people are talking about, not only in Charlotte but across the state, we've got the Malley Creek Mavericks. They've been number one in our Carolina varsity poll all year long. They're taking on the Vance Cougars, and this is a traditional rival game. And I guess I can say rival this time. I got fussed at about Huff calling them a rival with Malley Creek, but I think Vance has won this game enough times to where you can call it a rivalry. But both of these teams respect each other. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like family going against each other for a couple hours, and they shake hands after the game and, wish each other the best of luck. So Malley Creek comes in here. Last week they defeated Harding. A lot of guys got time. It was a blowout type of situation. But you look at them offensively, they're a totally different type of team. Offensively, they can still have the ability to pound you, but the difference is they have the ability to go to the house on any given play, I believe. You saw some big plays from them in the past, but now they can get there in multiple ways. Kelly at quarterback has done a really good job, and then Mincy comes in at running back and does a good job. They have good, talented receivers that can take the ball and make big plays, even on deep ball or screens or, any type of plays that you see. The biggest thing with them is just the variety they show on offense. And, when you got top-level talent like Malley Creek, you want to expose them to a lot of different things and attack people a lot of different ways. And new offensive coordinator McFadden has done a really good job with that. Defensively, they're still, the same, type of team. They're going to be aggressive. They want to win at the line of scrimmage, of course. They want to force you into mistakes. And then in the back end, they want to play good, tight coverage. So obviously for Vance here, you got a number one, tackle well in space. You cannot miss tackles because they're going to go to the house if you do. Number two, I think, and I was just talking about this on our forums, it's going to be a great chess match. You got Aldridge on defense going against McFadden, And then offensively, you got Brand going against the brain trust of Paul Mary and all his guys on defense. And of course, they know each other inside and out. So you're gonna see some high level strategy on both sidelines, and I'm excited to see that. I think a lot of people are, especially. Conversely, the key for Mallard Creek here, you want to make Vance one dimensional. And seeing them all season long, Vance has been able to run the football pretty well with a couple of different guys, especially Andre White Jr. and then Morris, number 22. If Minot Creek is able to take the run away, you force Somerville and his guys like Nair Clark to make plays down the field, and get them in third and long, and that's obviously no offense coordinator wants to be in third and long. So that's one key for Vance. And then secondly, offensively, I think they want to be balanced. And I think they will. That's one thing I've always admired about McFadden and his play calling is he never leans too much one way or the other. He'll stick with something if it's working, but other 99% of the time it's going to be a pretty balanced ball game. And he usually has the talent to do that. So it's going to be a real fun game to watch. You talk about breaking it down. There's a lot of factors that can come into a big game like that. You start even talking about special teams, return game, all those things come into it. But at the end of the day, we're going to have a great game. Just sit back and enjoy it. Thank you for watching and listening. And let's have a great couple nights of football here in Charlotte. Thank you, guys.